Today we're going to be covering something called accordion portfolio binding. The basis of this is just an accordion or concertina style book, which is a bunch of pieces of paper glued together. This is nice because it makes one long piece of paper when you're done, a long narrative. You can also play it like an accordion. It doesn't make any sound, but you can believe in yourself. What I really like about it is it's very simple. You can do it at home with just some scissors and some glue stick or something. I really like it for something called accordion portfolios. I'm a printmaker. I primarily work in collecting portfolios of artwork together. So I really like this as a way of taking linoleum printmaking and making an art series that kind of combines together. It opens up really easily, except for right there, lol. But the best part about it is when it does something like this. You can collect together the entire portfolio as one continual narrative piece. And it's really just dope. I mean, look at that. Like, that's really all we're doing here. We just want to make something that looks cool. And this looks pretty cool. And it collapses together, and you can go take it with you to, I don't know, your friend Jeff's house. You have a friend named Jeff, doesn't matter. Anyway, materials. You're going to need a pencil, a ruler, some glue, a glue stick. Glue sticks are actually very useful with this. Some masking tape, some freezer paper. You mainly need the masking tape because of the freezer paper. A brayer, since this is going to be relief printmaking anyway, you're going to have one. Some scissors. Something worth binding together. So work on that. Some extra paper that's going to kind of go in between, a few pieces of board. That can be whatever type of board that you're comfortable with. I've made books out of Monster Energy boxes. And then you're going to need some cover sheets. These cover sheets are going to be a different size paper, but I'll go over how to do that and how to register. Get used to using a ruler because you're going to be using it quite a bit. So the first thing you want to do is, this is for printmaking, we need to make sure that our paper is the right size. So what I did here is I took 1-inch margins on it. Make sure you measure it correctly from the edge. Remember, a lot of rulers have an extra bit of metal to it. And this margin is going to help us make sure that we print the right orientation, because that is very key. And what I'm doing here is I'm making the registration to make sure that that orientation works right. Go ahead and scribble it out in case you don't trust yourself. So what you're going to do here is you're going to just kind of plan out where you want the registration to go. You can outline your piece if you want, whatever. But you want to make sure that the margin is in the same place for every art piece that is going to be in this. So if you're doing this with a bunch of people, they all need to make sure that if they want the margin to end up being on the left, the blank place that we're going to tab and hold the pieces of paper together, then the registration needs to be on the right. I'll show you what this looks like here in a second. Go ahead and roll out your ink just like a normal print. If you want to know how to make a print yourself, click the video in the description. And then whenever you register, you're going to be focusing on making sure that it just fits. Just make it right. So if I want the registration to print the margin on the left, and it needs to be on the right for this process. I can't state that enough because I know someone's going to screw it up, and it's just going to annoy me in a way that I'm not happy with. Well, anyway, run it through the press just like you normally would, and it'll make sense here in a second. I put the registration on the right, so that way the margin can be on the left. Now you're also going to need to make some cover sheets, and that can be your block, that can be whatever, depending on what we're doing. And your paper needs to be a different size for that. So we added 1 inch to the other one. This one we add 1 inch all the way around. That'll make it so it wraps around the board pretty easily. So one thing I want you to do is I want you to envision your future here. Envision success. Make sure that you have everything out in front of you that you need, because this goes pretty quick. I know it seems like it's going to take a while, but it goes really fast. So get out a piece of freezer paper, aluminum foil, palette paper, whatever. I just happen to have freezer paper. Tape it down because it's going to slowly drive you insane how it curls up the entire time. Now you might be saying, hey, what can I do differently? I don't know. Figure it out for yourself. But make sure you have that freezer paper taped down. So go ahead and envision how this is going to look. Make sure that the board is going to go on the paper in the correct orientation. And you're going to need to measure to make sure it fits. Or you can just use blind luck and trust yourself. Whatever. It'll probably be fine no matter what. But if you're one of those people that really needs that, then go ahead and measure that inch around the entire outside to make sure that it fits in. And then to help yourself out even more, use a pencil, not a pen, to outline it. We do this because if you mess up, the pen will show through to the front. Since you're, oh man, that tape. So since we're using printmaking anyway, go ahead and roll out, using a brayer, a very thin amount of glue. And then just roll it on your whole board. It'll be pretty thin. Don't make it too thick because it'll soak through the paper. You'll see what it's like. Now, you have maybe a quarter of a second of wiggle room on this. Once you put the board down, it's down. You can slide it slightly, but that's why we do the outline, is to make it easier. And then once you get it down, go ahead and just take out all your 2020 frustrations on it, and then feel bad about it and knead it like how a cat kneads a person. It may not fit entirely perfect, and whatever, it's okay. We're going to be gluing the sides of the paper down to the board, and that'll fix a lot of the problems. So go ahead and ink up your, not ink, still in printmaking mine. Go ahead and glue up your brayer and roll it on the edge. Make sure not to overlap your glue too much, say on the newspaper and on the front of the book, because it'll look nasty. So what I did there is I folded the board with the paper on it as a way of making it a nice seal. And again, more frustrations. And then throw yourself into fast forward because you've already done this once. This is just where we need to make sure it's nice and tight for this. It doesn't have to be perfect. We're using pretty thin paper, so it's okay. Now to make your life easier, we're going to get rid of the corners of the paper. Don't cut all the way to the board there. See how I'm slightly up from the board when I cut the edges? This is to prevent something called dog earring, which just doesn't look good whenever it's done. Go ahead and glue it up just like you did the other one. And seal it down. And then you're going to just do the same to the second one. Now, once you're done with this one, you have to do it with your back cover, front cover, whichever one you did. So you still have another one to do. And then once you're done, try to weigh it down. It only takes like 10 minutes for it to flatten out. Use that thing of glue because you think it's ironic. All right, paper. First thing you want to do is you want to lay everything out. So I have all my artwork with the individual sheets of paper in between it to make a nice stack so I have it all going in the right order. You may personally not have an order to this. I would like to think that you might rank them on the inside, and whoever's last is either the best or worst, but you'll never tell them. Don't ever tell them. That doesn't matter. What you need to do first is collect everything, and then what we're going to do is we're going to take that extra inch and we need to score it. And you need to do it for each sheet of paper, which sounds very monotonous because it is, but whatever. Y'all have headphones. Listen to whatever podcast really suits you, but you're going to make inch margins. Again, you already have that inch margin, right? So you know exactly where it's going to be. Use a ruler to make sure that it's right. Go ahead and mark it with a pencil. And then what I'm going to do here, here's another one, whatever. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to lay the ruler down, and then I'm going to take my mechanical pencil and I'm going to remove the lead from it. I'm going to use this to make an indentation in the paper. That'll make it easier for us to fold over because, again, with the accordion binding, this needs to bend and move. I did find that after I was doing this for a while, I switched to a binding needle or an awl, just a sharp point, and dragged it on the paper, and it actually worked really, really well. So if you're doing that and you're doing bookbinding anyway, there's a good chance that you have an awl or a needle that you can use to drag on there. It'll make it a lot easier when it comes time to crease it. And you may be going, hey, why isn't there video of it? I don't know, I was busy, man. Like, I can't do everything. All right, go ahead and erase your little pencil marks, and then do this for every single piece.
All right.
And we're going to use a glue stick here. It works really well for holding these together. It's non-toxic, so it shouldn't eat through the paper. But go ahead and lay your newspaper out, and then you're going to use the glue on that tabbed, folded side that we did all that beautiful work to get nice and even, to lay down a little bead of glue. However much you think it probably needs, so that way it doesn't disappear, is probably the best. You've used glue sticks before. We've all been 6 years old. Go ahead and lay it down as evenly as you can. I'm going to show you another way how to do this in case this one doesn't work for you. But this is going to take a little bit of skill, a little bit of finesse to get this to go as right as you want it to. After you lay it down, make sure to kind of seal it, rub your finger, thumbnail, hand, smack it, whatever works. And then go ahead and fold it over. This is going to make sure that everything's going in the right orientation. Now what you want to do is do it again and again and again and again. But this one I'm going to show you slightly differently. So what you do is you lay the paper face down on it like a sandwich. Delicious, delicious printmaking sandwich. And then the tab folds over actually a lot easier. See, little tips I've learned just on making this one, and I've made a bunch of these before. But use whatever is best for you. That's what's really important. So I want you to glue all the kind of sections together first. So the artwork with the blank paper, it makes it a lot easier to kind of categorize this as you go instead of just trying to make one giant book from the get-go. So now that I have these sections together, I can start gluing the sections to the other sections. So first, just like before, glue the tab that folds over. Go ahead and put your artwork face down on it, another delicious, beautiful bookbinding sandwich, and flip the tab over that has the glue on it. You want to make sure this is as even and straight as possible, because if these start to drift, say it's off by like a millimeter or something on the top compared to the bottom, your book's gonna get wonky, and I know you don't want that. So take your time with this part. That's why we did those individual sections, so that way you could slow down on here. And look at that, it's already a thing. Go ahead and fold that over. You're going to just work with this orientation the rest of the way. Ta-da. Ugh, I hated that. Why did I leave that in? Alright, so go ahead and just do the rest of them. It got a lot easier as I went. Something else I noticed as I was going, the papers weren't exactly lining up, so what I would do after I glued it down is I would just smash it. I'd smash where they're starting to fold up, and it made it be a lot more even. You, whenever you make your own, might go, hey, what's going on with this? And just remember, you can always just brute force it to make it work. Alright, now the front page has an extra tab of paper on it. You got two options here. One, you can cut it off with scissors, but that takes a lot of trust in yourself. The other option is to just lay down some glue and then to fold it over back on itself so that way it lines up with everything. That's what I recommend, but do you? Alright, so once you're done with all that, now comes the final bit where you need to have some finesse. And this involves gluing the paper to the board. See, I'm visualizing it right here. I'm seeing it in my mind's eye how this is going to be done. So we're going to take glue and we're going to roll out a thin bead of glue just like we did before. But instead of gluing the paper around the book, we're going to be gluing the text block paper, which is what that big old accordion's called, to the board. So go ahead and thin layer of glue, and then once you're ready, and I mean this, once you are ready, you need to feel it. You got to feel good. It takes confidence here because you only get one shot at this. You're going to flap over the front page and you're going to put it on the book. Now I say you only have one chance at this. There's a little bit of wiggle room because it's still wet glue, so if it's not perfectly aligned you might be able to slightly move it, but ugh. edge of the paper goes to the board, board flaps over, and it's either good looking or it's bad looking. See, at that point, even that little touch, it's stuck, it ain't moving. Once you get it down, go ahead and kind of smooth out the air bubbles. Make sure to hit your head on the camera and shake the camera violently. These are really important steps. Wherever it lands is where it lands. It's part of your book now. So there's no going back. Repeat the process on the second side. I showed a different way of doing this to see maybe it would work better. So this one I lined the front part up first before laying it down. It seemed to work better-ish, whatever. Alright, now close it up, give it a little bit of jiggle. Look at you, you made a book. Go ahead and weigh it down with something. Give it like 5-10 minutes, but you made a book. See ya.